Introduction. In a world that often celebrates selflessness and altruism, the virtue of kindness shines brightly as a beacon of human decency. Acts of generosity, compassion, and support are universally lauded and have the power to transform lives and communities. Yet, there lies a hidden danger in excessive kindness, a perilous edge where our well-intentioned actions can lead us into the traps of dependency, exploitation, and self-neglect. While being kind and helpful to others is inherently positive, there is a delicate balance to be maintained. When this balance tips too far, we risk sacrificing our own well-being, priorities, and sense of self. The teachings of Stoic philosophy offer valuable insights into maintaining this equilibrium, advocating for self-discipline, moderation, and self-awareness. This article explores the potential risks of unbridled kindness and the importance of setting healthy boundaries. We delve into how excessive generosity can lead to resentment, self-neglect, and even addiction, and discuss practical strategies to cultivate a more balanced approach to kindness. By understanding these risks and adopting a Stoic perspective, we can ensure that our kindness enriches both our lives and the lives of those around us without compromising our own well-being. Join us on this journey of self-discovery and reflection as we examine the hidden perils of excessive kindness and learn how to navigate the path of generosity with wisdom and mindfulness. Through this exploration, we aim to empower you to foster meaningful, supportive relationships while maintaining your own sense of balance and fulfillment. 1. Unrealistic expectations of people. The nature of expectations. Expectations form a core part of human interactions. From early childhood, we are taught to expect certain behaviors from others based on social norms, personal experiences, and cultural influences. We expect our parents to care for us, our friends to support us, and our colleagues to respect us. However, when these expectations are unrealistic or too high, they can lead to disappointment and emotional distress. Stoicism teaches us to temper our expectations and to focus on what we can control, rather than relying on the actions of others to bring us happiness. The Stoic approach, Stoic philosophy, emphasizes accepting things as they are. This acceptance involves recognizing that other people's actions and behaviors are beyond our control and therefore should not be the basis of our happiness or peace of mind. By giving without expecting too much in return, we can avoid the emotional turmoil that often accompanies unmet expectations. This practice of emotional detachment doesn't mean becoming cold or indifferent, but rather developing a mindset that is resilient to the fluctuations of external circumstances. The reality of human behavior. Human beings are inherently self-interested to varying degrees. This self-interest can manifest in different ways, sometimes leading people to prioritize their own needs and desires over those of others. When we are overly kind and giving, there is a risk that others may come to expect our generosity as a given and fail to reciprocate when we need support. This can leave us feeling used and undervalued, creating a cycle of frustration and resentment. Managing expectations. To manage our expectations realistically, we must first understand and accept the limitations of human nature. This involves recognizing that not everyone will act as we would in a given situation, and that their actions are shaped by their own priorities, experiences, and limitations. By setting reasonable expectations and communicating them clearly, we can foster healthier and more balanced relationships. It is also essential to practice empathy and understanding, recognizing that others may not always be capable of meeting our needs in the way we hope. The role of communication. Effective communication is key to managing expectations. By being open and honest about our needs and boundaries, we can help others understand what we expect from them. This transparency can prevent misunderstandings and ensure that our relationships are built on a foundation of mutual respect and consideration. It's also important to listen to others and understand their expectations, creating a two-way street of communication and support. Emotional detachment. Developing emotional detachment involves learning to let go of the need for external validation and approval. This does not mean becoming apathetic, but rather cultivating a sense of inner peace and contentment that is independent of external circumstances. By focusing on our own values and actions, we can maintain our sense of self-worth and avoid the emotional roller coaster that comes with unrealistic expectations. Conclusion. Unrealistic expectations can lead to a great deal of emotional distress and disappointment. By adopting a Stoic mindset and focusing on what we can control, we can manage our expectations more effectively and cultivate more balanced and fulfilling relationships. Through clear communication, empathy, and emotional detachment, we can navigate the complexities of human interactions with greater ease and resilience. 2. People will only want something from you. The nature of reciprocity. Reciprocity is a fundamental aspect of human relationships. It is the principle that people should return favors and acts of kindness, creating a balanced exchange of support and resources. However, when reciprocity becomes imbalanced, with one person consistently giving more than they receive, it can lead to feelings of exploitation and resentment. This is particularly true for individuals who are naturally generous and kind, as they may attract people who take advantage of their generosity. The Stoic perspective. Stoicism teaches us to find value in doing the right thing for its own sake, rather than for the recognition or reward it might bring. By practicing moderation in our giving, we can maintain control over our actions and avoid developing habits that are detrimental to our mental and emotional health. This approach helps us to give freely without becoming overly invested in the outcome or the response of others. The cycle of dependency. When we are too generous, we risk creating a cycle of dependency. People who benefit from our kindness may come to rely on us to meet their needs, reducing their motivation to take responsibility for their own lives. This can lead to a situation where we are constantly giving while others are constantly taking, leaving us feeling drained and unappreciated. Setting boundaries. Setting boundaries is essential to prevent people from taking advantage of our kindness. This involves being clear about what we are willing to give and when, and communicating these limits to others. By establishing boundaries, we can protect our own well-being and ensure that our generosity is sustainable. It is also important to enforce these boundaries consistently, even if it means saying no to requests for help. Recognizing red flags. It is important to be aware of the signs that someone may be taking advantage of our kindness. These red flags can include constant requests for favors without any reciprocal support, a lack of appreciation for our efforts, and an expectation that we will always be available to help. By recognizing these signs early, we can take steps to protect ourselves and address the situation before it becomes a pattern of exploitation. Practicing self-care. Taking care of our own needs is essential to maintaining our capacity to help others. This involves prioritizing our own physical, mental, and emotional well-being and making time for activities that bring us joy and relaxation. By practicing self-care, we can ensure that we have the energy and resources to support others without compromising our own health and happiness. Conclusion. While it is important to be kind and generous, It is equally important to protect ourselves from being taken advantage of. By setting boundaries, recognizing red flags, and practicing self-care, we can ensure that our generosity is sustainable and that our relationships are balanced and mutually supportive. Through a Stoic approach, we can give freely without becoming overly invested in the outcome, maintaining our sense of self-worth and well-being. 3. You run a significant risk of being called weak and treated accordingly. The perception of kindness as weakness. In many societies, kindness and compassion are sometimes mistakenly perceived as signs of weakness. This perception can lead to situations where individuals who are generous and empathetic are taken advantage of or not taken seriously. This is particularly true in competitive environments where assertiveness and self-interest are often valued over cooperation and altruism. The Stoic approach to strength. Stoic philosophy teaches us to develop inner strength and self-discipline, focusing on our own actions and values rather than the opinions of others. By setting clear boundaries and practicing self-discipline, we can demonstrate our commitment to our own responsibilities and values, earning the respect of those around us. This approach helps us to maintain our integrity and avoid being perceived as weak. The importance of boundaries. Setting boundaries is crucial in demonstrating strength and self-respect. When we are clear about our limits and enforce them consistently, we show others that we value our own well-being and are not willing to be taken advantage of. This can help to shift the perception of our kindness from a sign of weakness to a demonstration of self-assurance and strength. The power of saying. Learning to say no is an important skill in maintaining our boundaries and protecting our well-being. While it can be difficult to turn down requests for help, especially for those who are naturally generous, it is essential to prioritize our own needs and responsibilities. By saying no when necessary, we can ensure that our kindness is not mistaken for weakness and that we are not overburdened by the demands of others. Developing assertiveness. Assertiveness involves standing up for our own needs and rights in a respectful and confident manner. This is different from aggression, which involves imposing our will on others. By being assertive, we can communicate our boundaries and expectations clearly, ensuring that we are treated with respect. Developing assertiveness skills can help us to navigate situations where our kindness might otherwise be taken advantage of. Building inner strength. Inner strength involves developing resilience and self-discipline, allowing us to remain true to our values and principles even in the face of adversity. This can be achieved through practices such as mindfulness, meditation, and self-reflection. By building inner strength, we can maintain our sense of self-worth and integrity, regardless of how others perceive us. Conclusion. While kindness and compassion are often mistaken for weakness, it is possible to demonstrate strength and self-respect through the practice of Stoic principles. By setting boundaries, saying no when necessary, and developing assertiveness and inner strength, we can ensure that our kindness is respected and not taken advantage of. Through a Stoic approach, we can maintain our integrity and well-being, earning the respect of those around us. 4. You run a significant risk of developing a dependency. The nature of dependency. Dependency occurs when an individual relies excessively on others for their emotional, physical, or financial well-being. This can lead to a loss of independence and self-efficacy, making it difficult for the individual to function without the support of others. While it is natural to seek help and support from others, excessive dependency can be detrimental to our personal growth and well-being. The Stoic perspective on self-reliance. Stoic philosophy emphasizes the importance of self-reliance and self-discipline. By focusing on what we can control and taking responsibility for our own actions, we can develop a sense of independence and resilience. This approach helps us to avoid becoming overly dependent on others and to maintain our sense of self-worth and autonomy. Recognizing the signs of dependency. It is important to be aware of the signs that we may be developing a dependency on others. These signs can include a constant need for reassurance and validation, an inability to make decisions without the input of others, and a reliance on others to meet our emotional and physical needs. By recognizing these signs early, we can take steps to address the issue and regain our independence. Developing self-efficacy. Self-efficacy involves having confidence in our own abilities and taking responsibility for our own actions. This can be achieved through setting and achieving personal goals, developing new skills, and challenging ourselves to step outside of our comfort zones. By building self-efficacy, we can reduce our reliance on others and develop a greater sense of independence and self-worth. Practicing moderation. Moderation is a key principle in Stoic philosophy, and it is particularly relevant when it comes to avoiding dependency. By practicing moderation in our relationships and interactions with others, we can ensure that we are not giving or taking too much. This balance helps us to maintain healthy and mutually supportive relationships without becoming overly reliant on others. Seeking professional help. If we find that we are struggling with dependency, it can be helpful to seek the support of a professional therapist or counselor. These professionals can provide us with the tools and strategies we need to develop greater independence and self-efficacy. They can also help us to address any underlying issues that may be contributing to our dependency, such as low self-esteem or past trauma. Conclusion. Dependency can be detrimental to our personal growth and well-being. By practicing Stoic principles such as self-reliance, self-discipline, and moderation, we can avoid developing a dependency on others and maintain our sense of independence and self-worth. Through self-efficacy and professional support, we can build the confidence and skills we need to thrive on our own. 5. Your priorities will be trampled upon the importance of personal priorities. Personal priorities are the goals, values, and responsibilities that are most important to us. These priorities shape our decisions and actions, guiding us towards a fulfilling and meaningful life. However, when we are overly focused on helping others, there is a risk that our own priorities will be neglected or overlooked, leading to a sense of imbalance and dissatisfaction. The Stoic approach to prioritization. Stoic philosophy teaches us to focus on what is truly important and to align our actions with our values and principles. By setting clear priorities and sticking to them, we can ensure that we are living a life that is true to ourselves and our goals. This approach helps us to avoid becoming overwhelmed by the demands of others and to maintain a sense of purpose and direction. Setting boundaries and limits. Setting boundaries and limits is essential to protecting our personal priorities. This involves being clear about what we are willing to do and when, and communicating these limits to others. By setting boundaries, we can ensure that our own needs and responsibilities are not neglected in favor of helping others. It is also important to enforce these boundaries consistently, even if it means saying no to requests for help. Balancing personal and external demands. Balancing our personal priorities with the demands of others can be challenging, but it is essential to maintaining our well-being and sense of fulfillment. This involves making time for the activities and goals that are most important to us, while also being flexible and adaptable when necessary. By finding a balance between our own needs and the needs of others, we can create a more harmonious and satisfying life. The role of self-care. Self-care is an important aspect of maintaining our personal priorities. This involves taking time for activities that nourish and rejuvenate us, such as exercise, hobbies, and relaxation. By prioritizing self-care, we can ensure that we have the energy and resources to pursue our goals and support others without becoming overwhelmed or burnt out. The power of delegation. Delegation involves sharing responsibilities and tasks with others, allowing us to focus on our own priorities. This can be particularly helpful in situations where we are feeling overwhelmed or overburdened. By delegating tasks to others, we can create more time and space for our own goals and responsibilities, ensuring that our personal priorities are not neglected. Conclusion. Protecting our personal priorities is essential to living a fulfilling and meaningful life. By setting boundaries, balancing external demands, and practicing self-care, we can ensure that our own needs and goals are not neglected. Through a Stoic approach to prioritization, we can align our actions with our enforcing boundaries. Enforcing boundaries involves being consistent and firm in upholding our limits. This can be challenging, especially when others may push back or try to violate our boundaries. However, by being consistent and firm, we can ensure that our boundaries are respected and that our well-being is protected. Conclusion. Healthy boundaries are essential to maintaining our well-being and protecting our mental and physical health. By practicing self-awareness, clear communication, and assertiveness, we can set and maintain boundaries that are aligned with our values and needs. Through self-care and consistency, we can ensure that our boundaries are respected and that our relationships are balanced and mutually supportive. 7. You will be surrounded by many, but supported by few. The nature of social support. Social support is essential to our well-being and mental health. It provides us with the emotional, physical, and financial resources we need to navigate the challenges of life. However, when we are overly focused on helping others, there is a risk that we will be surrounded by people who are more interested in what they can get from us rather than genuinely supporting us in return. The Stoic approach to social support. Stoic philosophy teaches us to choose our relationships carefully and to focus on those that are truly supportive and mutually beneficial. By practicing discernment and moderation in our relationships, we can ensure that we are surrounded by people who genuinely care about our well-being and who are willing to support us in return. Recognizing genuine support. It is important to be able to recognize the signs of genuine support. These signs can include consistent and reliable help, emotional and practical support, and a willingness to listen and understand. By focusing on relationships that demonstrate these qualities, we can ensure that we are surrounded by people who truly care about our well-being. Avoiding opportunistic relationships. Opportunistic relationships are those where individuals are more interested in what they can get from us, rather than genuinely supporting us. These relationships can be draining and detrimental to our well-being. By being aware of the signs of opportunistic behavior, such as constant requests for favors without any reciprocal support, we can take steps to avoid these relationships and protect our well-being. Building a supportive network. Building a supportive network involves surrounding ourselves with people who are genuinely interested in our well-being and who are willing to support us in return. This can be achieved through cultivating relationships based on mutual respect, trust, and understanding. By focusing on quality over quantity, we can ensure that our social support network is strong and reliable. Practicing gratitude. Practicing gratitude involves recognizing and appreciating the support we receive from others. This can help to strengthen our relationships and to create a positive and supportive environment. By expressing gratitude for the support we receive, we can ensure that our relationships are built on a foundation of mutual respect and appreciation. Conclusion. While it is important to be kind and generous, it is equally important to surround ourselves with people who genuinely care about our well-being and who are willing to support us in return. By practicing discernment, recognizing genuine support, and avoiding opportunistic relationships, we can build a strong and reliable support network. Through a Stoic approach to social support, we can ensure that our relationships are balanced and mutually supportive. 8. You run a significant risk of falling into addiction. The nature of addiction. Addiction is a condition characterized by compulsive engagement in rewarding behaviors despite the negative consequences. It can affect various aspects of our lives, including our physical and mental health, relationships, and overall well-being. While addiction can take many forms, such as substance abuse, gambling, or overeating, it often involves a cycle of dependency and loss of control. The Stoic perspective on addiction. Stoic philosophy emphasizes the importance of self-discipline and self-control. By focusing on what we can control and taking responsibility for our own actions, we can develop the resilience and discipline needed to avoid falling into addiction. This approach helps us to maintain our sense of self-worth and autonomy, even in the face of temptation and adversity. Recognizing the signs of addiction. It is important to be aware of the signs that we may be developing an addiction. These signs can include a loss of control over our behavior, an inability to stop despite negative consequences, and a preoccupation with the addictive behavior. By recognizing these signs early, we can take steps to address the issue and regain control over our lives. Developing self-discipline. Self-discipline involves having the ability to control our impulses and to make decisions that are in line with our values and goals. This can be achieved through practices such as mindfulness, meditation, and self-reflection. By developing self-discipline, we can reduce our susceptibility to addiction and maintain our sense of autonomy and control. Seeking professional help. If we find that we are struggling with addiction, it can be helpful to seek the support of a professional therapist or counselor. These professionals can provide us with the tools and strategies we need to address the underlying issues that may be contributing to our addiction, such as low self-esteem, past trauma, or emotional distress. They can also help us to develop healthier coping mechanisms and to build a support network to aid in our recovery. Practicing moderation. Moderation is a key principle in Stoic philosophy, and it is particularly relevant when it comes to avoiding addiction. By practicing moderation in our behaviors and activities, we can ensure that we are not overindulging or becoming overly reliant on any one thing. This balance helps us to maintain our well-being and to avoid falling into the cycle of addiction.